Hello everybody! Tudo bem, pessoas? Vamos começar mais uma super boa tarde, pessoas aqui no Brasil, e boa noite para quem está no resto do mundo. Começando mais um dos nossos trabalhos, mais uma vez com mais um grande convidado. Essa é uma grande lenda da dança, Storm, certo? Storm já está na área. Storm dispensa comentários, né? E vamos já chamá-lo para a gente aproveitar o tempo que a live, a gente perde isso em 50 minutos. E espero que vocês gostem. Divulguem aí pra galera. Rony e Yoyo na área, todo mundo aí. Por favor, divulguem nos seus stories que a gente está com o Storm, que vai entrar agora em alguns segundos, para te fazer mais uma interview incrível. E temos também com o nosso querido e amigo B-Boy Lucas Galante, de Tsunami All Star, que vai fazer a tradução. Para quê? Para facilitar e ficar mais orgânica a conversa, para a gente não precisar ficar parando, traduzindo. Aí a gente perde um pouco do feeling e do tempo, né? Que o tempo do Instagram é muito curto. Então, quando eu for fazendo as perguntas e o Storm for responder, preste atenção no Lucas Galante, que vai estar fazendo o nosso translator aí. E aí fica confortável e a gente consegue fazer as perguntas aí bacanas pro Storm, tá certo? Vamos que vamos, vou chamar o Storm. Tá sendo gravado em podcast, vai ser também disponível. E vamos que vamos. E também vai estar salvo na live em 24 horas. Convidar aqui o Storm, vamos que vamos. Cadê nosso querido Storm? Storm aqui. Nosso querido Storm. Hey!
You see me?
Yes!
Oh, nice. I thought that you have to use the headphones, but it's a logo headphones. It's fine.
No, sometimes you don't understand me because my voice is incredible.
Yeah, nice to see you.
Nice to see my brother. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine. Everything's okay out here. Sean says hello. He's already like, I told him that we're going to do this interview. And he said, oh, you have to tell him. I said, what's up? I said, maybe you just walk through the picture once when we're online so that he could see you.
Please, very important. I love Sean. He's the Neymar. Neymar intelligent.
He was already saying, he was saying like, oh, if Rockmaster, if he sees me, he's probably going to say, hey, my brother.
Hey, my brother. I love him. He's so, he have too much light. I love him. How are you, my brother? Is everything okay?
Oh, yeah. Everything's fine out here, man.
What about situation now in coronavirus in Germany?
Well, it looks like as if at least our government, at least as if they have it in control. You know, they're in control. And I mean, I would just wish that everybody would do the same thing as my family does, because then we wouldn't have a problem in this country, right? But you have so many idiots outside on the street. I mean, you know, you look at what people eat, you look at what people are doing, and that they meet up, and then, you know, like people are so stubborn, and they don't even, you know, some people don't even believe that the coronavirus exists, you know. So you have all these people that are so ignorant to what's happening. But actually, if everybody would just stay home for 2-3 weeks, we wouldn't have this problem. Because then we would find out quite easily who has the virus, who's infected, and who's not. So,
wow.
You know, and that would have been the solution. But no, I mean, you know, I know that in other countries, you know, some parts of the world, people are living on the street. They don't even have any homes and stuff. So for them, like when I'm looking at India, Brazil, certain parts of Africa, and so on and on, for them, it must be really, really hard, you know. But here in Germany, I mean, come on. You know, if people just wouldn't be so stubborn and they would just, you know, like think about it a little bit more, then, I mean, hey, we would have a much better situation, I'm sure.
Wow, very nice.
Hey, like I said, here I can't complain. I just get the news from the world And I hope that we're going to get over this quickly, and that people are going to stay healthy, that they're going to get healthy, and that it's not going to have too much of a toll in other people's life, you know.
They're very important. I was following government. Germany government was support Italy too much because the disturbing Italy is so crazy. Germany is the most incredible country. Germany is too much organized.
Don't say that. Don't say that. Maybe we were just lucky, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe we were just lucky. I mean, hey, I can't say, you know. And what I see so far is most of it is just that Germany copies what Austria is doing. You know, that's the feeling that I have.
Okay.
Austria had more infected people, and every time when Austria said, "Oh, let's do this," 2 days later, Germany said, "All right, they've done it. Let's do it too." You know.
Yeah.
So worked out quite well. You know. Yeah, let's talk about something else, man. I mean, this coronavirus thing. I mean, we got to live through this, but I'm really happy to see you here.
Me too.
And I also hope that some people are listening and some people are watching. What's up, everybody?
Everybody's here now.
Did you say that Lucas was going to translate for me?
Yes. Lucas Galaz support us.
Nice.
Support Brazilian people for translator. He have incredible English now. He works in Cirque du Soleil. Yes, he's so nice guy. Let's go, my brother. All right, this is my first question, my first bullshit question. I always tell about this bullshit. When you started dance?
When did I start dancing?
Yes, quickly.
All right, quickly. I mean, I started dancing at a very young age already. As long as I can remember, I always liked quality of movement, right? And I always liked music. So as a very young kid already, I was dancing all the time, put on the music and was dancing in my room, and on family reunions, I was dancing. Then I remember that my sister, she's 3 years older than me. So my sister kind of like grew into the disco era with John Travolta and Staying Alive and Saturday Night Fever and stuff. So when she started getting into that, then she started getting into, you know, deeper in learning steps and club life. I mean, even though she was very young, she must have been like 11, 12. But we had teeny disco at that time too here, you know. So yeah, but I was roller skating, and I was always skating to music. Then after that, I was skateboarding, and I was skating to music. Back then, we called it freestyle skating. So it's not like the same kind of skating that people are doing today. We always had music on. We had a radio. We were skating at a bank because that's where they had a plug for electricity. You know, so we put our radio in there. Batteries were too expensive. And I was dancing on skates and on a skateboard. And then when breaking came along, I really decided, it really caught me, and that's when I decided I wanted to do that as a profession. So, and that was in 1983. So after 3 months already, I had my first manager, our crew, we had our first manager. And in the beginning of 1984, I started touring professionally already. So from 84 on, I was already kind of like a professional dancer. And that's the only thing I did throughout the rest of my life until this day. So I don't even know how to do anything else, you know?
Yeah. I was about quickly, sometimes so quickly, because it's too much for you, all right? But you are too much, you are intelligent. It's possible, everyone. My brother, all right. After breakdance time, you was going to New York, for a connection with this culture. Tell me about that.
I mean, like I said before, I was always dancing, but there was a time when the dancing, Debbie, sorry. There was a time when dancing, when breaking kind of like died out. Nobody wanted to see breaking and popping or locking anymore, and so we tried to find people all over Germany who was still doing it, who was still going on, you know, like so we took trains and we bought train tickets. And we had one particular train ticket. It was called the tramper ticket, which was like a ticket, you know, that they kind of like put Germany together as like one big subway map. So you paid for like once a month you paid, and then for 1 month you could take any train you like. And so this is when we started networking. This is where we started getting together, and we found other people and we connected everywhere. First it was Germany, then it was Switzerland and Germany, then, you know, like with French, with the Belge, with the Dutch people, with, you know, then after when the East opened up, also with the Hungarians, with the Polish, with the East Germans, with Denmark, with Sweden. So we knew everybody because we were the ones that traveled, right? We traveled everywhere, and we got so used to travel that, of course, you know, like we were not running short of saying like, all right, we've done all over Europe, now let's go to the United States. So after Battle of the Year 91, well, before we said, at Battle of the Year, we said, if we win this contest, we all buy tickets to go to New York. So we won Battle of the Year 91. We bought the tickets, and 2 weeks or 3 weeks later, we sat on the plane and we were going to New York. And that's that. And in New York, we were looking for Quickstep because we heard that there was this one particular dancer that is still dancing. Swift was in New York 2 or 3 times before. He never met anybody. And so when we met Quickstep, we were super happy because he was as passionate as we were. He was also living that break life, you know?
Right.
So, and that was also the moment when Quickstep realized what was going on in Europe and how we were dancing and how possessed we were, basically. You know, he wanted to introduce us to all the other guys, so maybe something would wear off, you know? So he introduced us to his whole crew, Fresh Kids, like with Bandit and Papo and them guys. He introduced us to Furious Rockers. I mean, none of these guys really continued. They all stopped.
Okay.
But he also introduced us to Wiggles, to Crazy Legs, then later on to Kenny, to, you know, like Charlie Locke, you know, like other guys that were dancing. Yep. And, you know, friendships were formed. And when, you know, like when the New Yorkers realized what was going on in Europe, I think, you know, it kind of like they caught a spark as well, where they were saying, like, look, we got to get something going on, because if they are strong in Europe and we are not doing anything about, you know, like the heritage where the dance is coming from, that can't be. So, you know, that's how things started to get organized together. And since everything was already mapped up somehow, that we had this network going on all over the place, then there was a moment when Wiggles and them, when they asked me if I wanted to be part of a dance company in New York. It was like Wiggles, Quickstep, and everybody. And that's when I became part of Get Original, which kind of like started my theater life. Yeah. And also, if you think about it, then Get Original was the first hip hop theater company that was touring, you know, like with dance shows in theaters. So I'm really proud that I've been part of this, and this meant so much to me. Most people can't even imagine, because, you know, now I was living in New York, I had all the guys around me, and we were dancing every day. So, you know, I had to, and plus I had to dance on the street as well, because, you know, in the beginning, the theater shows, we didn't have many shows. Yes. So in the beginning, you know, like there was not much money coming along with that, right? So I had to dance on the streets in New York. So I also hung out with Breathe Team. I hung out with Transformers, with Float Comedy, with the United Street Artists, with Clown and them. And we became close friends. So I'm really glad that I had that time. And after that, I came back to Germany, and that's when I started my own theater company.
Oh, yes. General de Gruba was come to Brazil in 1996.
Yeah. See, that's when I think it was 97, but it doesn't matter. I mean, 96. And I quit. I quit then because that's exactly the moment when I started my own theater company.
Wow.
Yeah, I was in, you call it Jam on the Groove, but the company was called Get Original. The piece was called Jam on the Groove, but I quit in early 96.
96, yeah. I remember that because this guy, John de Rock, I was come to Brazil and this group influenced everyone, because before this, everybody understand breakdancing, you know. That's the first image. Everybody was see this and theater. Wow, DJ, locking, popping, separate, you know. You know, he was working with Franquejada, and Franquejada was start the history about the theater because he was see the genre group too.
Yeah, he was telling me.
Yeah,
he was telling me.
It's crazy.
We
It's
talked
crazy.
a lot about that. Yeah, we talked a lot about that.
And then and you want to have a history with Brazilian people, and with him after this.
I mean, what's funny about it? I mean, if Jam on the Groove was in Brazil in '96,
96,
and then see, I was in Brazil and I worked with Discípulos do Ritmo in 2001. So that's just 5 years later. But these 5 years, I mean, till now, I mean, that's 19 years. You know what I mean? So we're talking about. I mean, hey, that's a whole different level. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where we could see how long we know each other as well. Because when I came to Brazil the first time, I remember you very well.
Yeah, who they now? I was talking about is in 95, not 96. 95, the Giando group, I was coming to São Paulo. The name of festival, it's Carlton Dance. The cigarette, cigarette Carlton Dance. That's the name, the festival Giando group was coming to Brazil. All right, my brother. For me, you are the most important guy, introduction, street dance coach in the theater. That's what it is. When to start to do this, and then after this, you are learning and training locking popping. It's about you was working in theater, or it's before your history with your funk style. It's before this.
No, I mean, hey, you know, like I grew up in clubs. And in 1983, when I started with breaking, let's not forget, you know, like that back in the days, in '83, that was like one umbrella term. When people were calling it breakdancing, it was popping, locking, breaking. It was everything together. In the beginning, you know, I didn't even know what I was doing. I had no name for it. So like 2 years prior to that even, you know, I was 2 or 3 years before, I was already practicing a bit on the robot. I wasn't really getting into it, but I was practicing a bit on a robot because I saw Kraftwerk. You know, Kraftwerk was We Are the Robots. Sure. I saw them on television and stuff, and I liked it. And then also, you know, that's how I got into it a little bit. But well, like I said, I like quality and movement. I always like to dance. I like movement. I like music. So when I started going into clubs and I saw all these other dancers doing all kinds of things, I mimicked everybody. I tried to get every dance step there was. If people were dancing to salsa music, I was dancing salsa. If they were dancing to disco music and they were doing disco, I danced disco. I did everything. So even when some jazz dancers were coming around and they were jumping in our circles, I looked at certain moves and I was like, all right, I think I can use that. Oh, that looks interesting. And I kind of like transferred into, you know, the things that I saw. I transferred it into something that I felt comfortable with. And only months later, we learned about the terminology of the dance. And even then, I mean, think about it, you know, for a long time, I didn't call it popping. Yes. I called it electric boogie because I was coming more from that New York side, right? I was coming more from that hip hop side. Yeah. And only years later, you know, I found out about the real terminology of the style. And it's the same thing about locking. You know, for some years we were calling it pop locking. And then when you go to LA now, a lot of people are still calling certain things pop locking, and you don't know what it is. Is it popping? Is it locking? So terminology really matters when we converse. Terminology matters when we have a conversation and we speak about certain things. So you need to understand what I say and I need to understand what you're saying. If there's something wrong in the terminology, then there's confusion, right? But then when we get on the dance floor, we don't want to talk, we want to dance. And this is what happened back in the days, right? Exactly. So right. You had hundreds of dancers in one club. People were getting down. You didn't care if somebody was doing this or that style, but you saw if somebody had quality and if he put work into it. So, and this is how it was. So I started breaking, popping, locking, kind of like at the same time. Locking, I kind of like left out. That came later. But definitely popping and locking, I started that at the same time. And I had fun. I really had fun. And then my brother and Swift Rock. So from 1986, 87 on, my brother and Swift Rock.
He's a real brother.
Swift Rock is my partner, and Speedy is my brother.
I Speedy does, exactly.
Yeah. So, but they never really practiced on popping or on locking, and they were only breaking. But since we were always together, of course, you know, like the breaking was becoming a lot more dominant in my style. But still, you know, when there were jams and there were poppers around, I was always jamming with them. You know, I had fun. When they were locking, I had fun. So also, you know, like when I met Out of Control from Denmark, for instance, you know, which was the #1 locking and popping crew in Europe for a long, long time. When I met them for the first time, I just asked all the stupid questions you needed to ask in order to learn a style. So this is where I got into locking a lot more. And I felt the pleasure of it a lot more because, you know, like they gave me the right instructions. Then I had Anthony from London coming along, Warren from London, Dice, then Pat Cesar, you know, all these people, they always taught me their little bits, and I was happy about it. Even Damon Frost taught me a bit of locking. I don't even think that he remembers, but yeah, you know, and his popping, of course. When I saw Damon Frost for the first time, that was, man, that was like, it blew my mind, you know.
Big guy,
these waves, the waves he had, and so on and on, the style, and this was like, wow, okay, that was another level. So, but yeah, I mean, it was every.
Frosty's from LA.
It was what?
Frost he's from LA. He's from LA.
He's from the Bay Area.
The Bay Area.
He's from the Bay Area, yeah. And he moved to Europe. I don't know if I'm saying something wrong here, but I think around 85, 86.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's this famous video where he's dancing in a bike shirt because he was a professional BMX rider. Mm-hmm. So he was dancing in a bike shirt. This is from Amsterdam or something. This is from 85. And if you watch the level this guy's on, it was unbelievable. But anyway, you know, let's not talk about Damon too much. Anyway, so I asked the right questions. And when you have these overwhelming moments, I was always either thinking, all right, this is the, you know, most of the times it's so overwhelming that you say like, oh shit, I think it's time to stop now. But for me, it was more like, oh no, I'm going to start. This is the moment to start. When you see something that blows you away like that, oh man, I just wanted to be like that, you know? I just wanted to, you know, and a lot of times it's not so much about how it looks, but about how it feels, right? So you see somebody flying, like in breaking. You see somebody doing a move and you go like, oh my God, this guy must feel super well, you know? When somebody's spinning on one hand. I remember when Chico did his 2000s, or when he did his 199, and he was spinning on one hand. I was like, oh man, I wonder how that feels. It looked incredible, but I had so much appreciation for the craft and for the feeling that you must develop when you do it every day. And I had the same feeling for when I saw people lock in a nice way, when they were popping in a nice way, when they are dancing house. I mean, when I met Ijo for the first time, and so on and on, you know, like all these people where they really put work into their craft, you see it. You see the quality, the expertise in what they're doing. And I think I want that too, you know, like, and yeah, and so you start practicing, you start feeling better with it, and you get better, you get better, you get better. So you feel better. And just because you get deeper, you know, like when you, how can I explain that? The deeper you get into the movement, the more you explore, you develop, or you see, you create whole new universes. And this is something that you know, only people that learn the craft can really understand that. That feeling of like how when you get into that flow moment, right?
All right.
I don't know if the listeners or if the people that are watching, if they understand what a flow moment is. So maybe I should break it down real quick. So you develop flow. You develop flow when you're doing, usually when you're doing something monotonous,
All right.
something repetitive,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, you tickle yourself always towards a new boundary, or put it like this: if it is too boring, what you're doing, you throw it down. You go like, oh no, man, let me do something else, right? So down here is where it's too boring. Now up here is where it's too complicated, it's too complex, so it's frustrating. So you somehow have to move in between, you know, like this and that. If you touch this, oh, make it a little bit harder. If you touch
Okay.
this, oh, make it a little bit less. But then once you find that balance and you go through here, through the center, then you develop that flow moment. And then it's not going, okay, it's not going straight like that
That
no more,
stage.
but slowly, slowly you're going up. You're growing up into it, and you balance it out, and you feel the movement, and you feel the moment as well. So you continue, and after like 3 hours, you realize like, oh, I gotta go eat something. I'm hungry now, you know. But there's these boring moments that last forever, and you really feel it. Why is it so boring? And there are these frustrating moments too, where you just want to get out. But once you get into flow, man, it's the dopest feeling ever. And when you learn a craft or when you work on a craft, it always comes forward. And you people also, you have that feeling when you ride a bike, when you go running, when you go swimming, when you meditate and you just breathing, when you are, you know, there's so many, when you play music instrument or something like, you know, like sometimes you know, you see my guitar here in the back. Sometimes you play
Yes.
guitar, and you play and you play and you play. Hey, I'm not a good guitar player. I'm really not. Hey, but it develops a good feeling. So you
Seriously.
continue. You know what I mean?
I believe in that because you are focused guy. I believe you are guitar man. Good. I believe that. You know, you're never joking. You're never joking, bro. You're never joking. Never. Yes, a lot of people here. I like that influence you. You know, brother. The I need to say something. An incredible breaking for New York. Because I was first video VHS, maybe, I don't know, I don't remember that. I was seeing too much spin.
Yeah.
First of all, for me, a lot of Brazilian people was influence you about their spins. You, what the guys in our crew, you're inflated. For me, one day, I don't know, the people was tell me you are inflated about an incredible breaker. This is true or not?
If I was what?
Because I was see you first time in VHS. A lot of spin. You are incredible. Head spin.
Yeah.
The incredible breaks from New York, inflating this
Oh
crew.
yeah, of course. Hey,
Of course.
Float and me, we were really good friends. I only met Float in '94. I
Okay.
have to say. I only met Float in '94. So if you've seen videos of me, I mean, like I said, we won Battle of the Year in '91. We won it in '92. So you know that we were already on some level, right? But at the same time, you know, like, so like in '92, I moved to New York. I stayed there for a while, then went back and forth, Germany, Harlem, Germany, Harlem, Germany, Harlem. You know, then '93, I remember, you know, I stayed for a while in Paris as well. Float was definitely, I mean, you know, if you look at my influences, come on, you see so many people in me. You see Crazy Legs in me when I'm doing my footwork, definitely. You will always see Crazy Legs in me. I admired his footwork so much that back in the days when I had no nickname yet, in 1983, 84, when I had no nickname, every time I went to practice, my alter ego was Crazy Legs. I wanted to be like Crazy Legs. I went to the studio. I was like, I wanted my footwork to be like his. So you see Crazy Legs in me. You see Kenny in me, you know, with the character. You see Quickstep in me. You see, you know, Quickstep and me. We were buddies for a long, long time. You know, he taught me how to do what people call magnets, like the windmills, and he taught me how to do donuts. Then, of course, float in New York. Float taught me different kind of halos. He taught me, or he tried to teach me elbow spins.
Wow.
I didn't get to that level really, because then, you know, I had neck problems and I had to stop it. But the tips that he gave me were incredible. Then Float introduced me to the rest of his crew, to Sam, for instance. Then Sam was inspiring me a lot to learn rocking. Chino,
I know Chino.
brother, you know, the two brothers, Chino and Brian, also really nice guys. You know, when you look at them and just the fun they had when they were dancing. So, see, when I was in New York, when I lived in New York, I didn't really have fun dancing so much, especially not breaking. That's why when I was in New York, I was learning a lot from Wiggles. Yo, again, the inspiration, the practice sessions I had with Mr. Wiggles.
Wow.
He taught me so much about popping and locking. You know, I can't forget, you know, Charlie Lock the same way. Adesela, come on. Adesela, the stuff he taught me about locking. You know, everything I learned when I was in Get Original was, it was an amazing era for me, all the stuff that I learned. But if you look at Float and Incredible Breakers, they had so much fun dancing. So when I went out with them. We went out together all the time and we had the greatest time. It was really, really cool. You know, so man, that was really important that I met them in New York. Absolutely. And then Float, Fable and me, we lived together for some time.
Wow.
In Harlem. So we shared apartments. Then, of course, you know, you look at Flowmaster as well. I shared apartments with him too. So, you know, like, you know, and all the time that you share, if you see, and this is what people understand, if you share time with somebody, you will eventually see it in the person's style as well. Yo, what's funny is that a lot of people are trying to say that I don't give props to the people that I learned from. And then again, I'm the only person who wrote a book about breaking, right? And I mention everybody in that book. Now, who does that? Come on, you know, how much more do you want me to do? But I mean, of course, I have to give it up mostly for my crew, for Battle Squad, because they are the ones definitely that influenced me the most. My brother, Speedy, Swift Rock, Emilio, also Maurizio, even though Maurizio was not so long in our crew. But you know, that brings me to the next point, right?
Yeah.
Also, what people don't do is they don't ever give props to their opponents. Man, there were moments where I really hated Maurizio, but because I hated this guy so much, it made me practice even harder.
Oh shit.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I have to give props to him. I watched videos of Maurizio and I was looking at him. I was like, oh, damn, this guy is good. So I went to practice and I was saying like, look, this guy is good. But you know, like every superhero has an opponent, right? So as a breaker, I always felt like we're superheroes. So Maurizio was kind of like, he was my opponent. So what Batman has, he's a Joker, or what Superman had is, you know,
Yeah,
Lex Luthor, and so on and on. So, but you know, so I have to give props to him as well. So it's not always the good guys, right? It's not always the good guys that inspire you, and you got to realize that how much you need to transform that negativity into something positive. People don't realize that. It's not like, see, I could have gone like, oh, Maurizio, he's one of the best breakers in the world, but I hate him. And every time I meet him, I would just cuss him and I would be upset and I would be bitter. But no, I was happy when I saw him because now I had somebody that I could dance with. So
yeah.
it was really cool, you know, so I loved it.
Wow. Very, very, very good history. Let's go to another kind of conversation. Now you are on one of the organizers, the Comité Olympique of Breaking, all right? And then you created the knowledge of the judge system.
Okay, yeah.
Tell me about this situation. Now,
wow, what can I say? This is a long story, you know, if you
it.
think about it.
I believe that.
Because you know, and it goes with everything I've done back in the days already. Man, you know, I used to be a host, a TV host as well. I had a hip hop show in Germany. It was called Freestyle. You know, I was a host there. And yeah, it was freestyle. But see, what I wanted to do is I wanted to inform the world about this dance, about hip hop, and how actually, and it might sound a little bit pretentious, but I was always thinking that hip hop could actually heal the world. It could heal the world because, you know, it kind of like, you know, when I'm looking at myself and my own life, then it helped me so much. You know, I wouldn't be where I am now if it wasn't for hip hop. So I was hoping that I could spread the word and could tell people what's going on. So now you had competitions like Battle of the Year and other dance competitions that were coming out, and I wasn't really happy about the judgment. And so from the beginning, I was saying like, well, we need to find some kind of way where the performers or the dancers, where they're getting feedback. And at the same time, we're going to check out the judges as well to find out if they are doing a good job. And so, of course, you know, that that is asking for a system. So it took a long time, but, you know, then there were some other competitions like IDO competitions. I don't know if you know what IDO is, doesn't matter. But see, Walter Petrongolo, from Crazy Force crew, and me, we were always working together on this. And by the year 2000, we were working together on Change of Direction with Battle of the Year. We wanted to make it more of a cultural event again, where people are really sharing. And part of that sharing, of course, is when people are getting their feedback throughout the competition by looking at the numbers and seeing what the judges have voted on. And back in the days, we also, at every Battle of the Year, we had panel discussions where you could speak to the judges and where you could speak to certain people in the community that dedicated a lot of time to the interpretation of the dance, so that people could also eloquently articulate about what this dance is about. So this is the start, right? Yeah. So now this is where I took it, and then every time I judged any competition, people were asking me, well, where could I still improve? Where can I still get better? And so on and on. So I was talking to people, and I gave them my side of the coin, and they were always surprised that I saw certain things that nobody else did, you know, at that time. And also I schooled certain people that had a certain bias, like certain people have a power move bias, other people have a footwork bias, where I'm saying, hey, it's still legit, you got to do everything is part of the dance. So, you know, like you can't say this has more value or that has more value, and so on and on. So it was all these cases. And then so it started with the Battle of the Year matrix that we formed in the early 2000s, and then it went on with other competitions. We tried it with BC1 as well. I don't know if you remember, but also in Sao Paulo 2002? No, 2001. No, 2006. BC1.
2006. I have this VHS.
See, I was considered the head judge. They asked me to be the head judge for the competition, and I had to speak up at the press conference for all these press people that came, and I had to explain them what breaking is, and so on and on. It was a tough job, and yeah, whatever, you know. So you see, it's a long process. Yes. And then after a while, the World B-Boy Series was born with undisputed competition as the final competition at the end. And so you had the world's biggest 10 to 12 competitions the one-on-one competitions in the world that got together, and they wanted a more profound judging system, or basically they asked us to develop the best judging system in the world. So I was like, all right, let's do this. We have a team of judges. And in the beginning, we were about 10 to 15 people. But then with the time, and that was in 2012, but then by the time of like 2014, 15, people went on with it. It didn't quite proceed the way we wanted it to proceed. And Undisputed as well, they were, you know, like it was, you know, when we were telling them they need a minimum of 5 judges, then some organizers, they said, we don't have the money for this. Or we said, you need to get this, you know, like with the interface and everything. If you want a system, you got to work with computers, get the interface over. And so it was always extra money, extra budget. And a lot of these competitions, they didn't have the budget. So they started to run their competitions on their own rules and so on and on. So we were quite happy about how it went. So more and more judges, they left us as a judging group. And it was getting very, very deep, more and more deep. And then all of a sudden, it was announced that the Olympic Games, that the Youth Olympic Games, that they wanted to have breaking in it. So that was the next step. And that was the moment where, I mean, there was nobody left really, except for the Cozen system, which is a system that goes with very, very binary decisions, black or white, you know, like good or bad. But there's, you couldn't really, now we have a crossfader, and that's why we did it, because we wanted to show it. You can make a gradual decision. It has to be all like, like bad or good, and you're a loser and you're a winner. There's a gradual decision possible. And so that was the Cozen system, and we developed a system with a crew from Austria. They called And8 with Dominic Farr, with Pee-wee on top. Yeah, he's the programmer and everything. And man, this guy is working magic. He's working magic. Every time we asked him to produce or to program something new, 2 days later or even earlier, he had it. And he's so on point. So I'm really happy to work with him. And of course, there were the hour system. There was the hour system with Dizzy from Korea. So Dizzy was also working with us in the group in the beginning. And and then, like he went on with his hour system. And the hour system has its problems. I don't want to get too deep into it. I made a graphic. I showed like what's the difference between the hour system and the Trivium system that was used at the Youth Olympics later on. I'm very deep into it. I'm very, very subjective when it comes to that. So if people want to look at my Facebook page, they can still see it. I think that Dizzy agrees with the differences. But of course, Dizzy still says, well, I prefer my system, where I say I prefer, so Dizzy says, I prefer the hour system. I prefer the N8, version of the Trivium that we produced. So now people can make up their own mind. I'm really hoping, and this is coming, see, live and direct. I'm hoping that we find the perfect compromise that is needed in order to go into the future, because something needs to happen, right? Something needs to happen. See, and I hope that there's going to be people joining us, people from the culture that have the in-depth knowledge, that can join us, that can help us with that system, that understand that it can't be that we have these major competitions, these huge competitions with crazy breaking. I mean, the dance form has evolved so much in these years. It got so big. But judging is still at a level of 1976. You know what I mean? Left and right. I point this way, I point that way. Why? Oh, I was just guessing. I liked his shoelaces. Whatever it is, people are not even asked. And it's not right. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's not right. We need to have a good system in which, on one hand, we get the feedback for the dancers, which is really important. And on the other hand, we need to have a system where we see if a judge is biased or if a judge can't process the information that should be processed when he watches the performances.
Very nice. It's. I know this is too much complicated. I believe that this is a hard word. I was connected with you in Brazil, the last FEC.
Yeah.
Yeah, to everybody, because it's, it's new, very important. You are the most of guy for fight this too much for this system going to another level. This is so nice conversation, my brother. But now, very important to tell me about, for me, you are the most of the big mind about you focus too much always. I remember that in 2002 I was seeing you in VHS, but I was seeing in Brazil. You was focused too much before the show, before the going to the cipher, whatever. You are always mind. You always strong. Your mind is too much stronger. This is unbelievable for me. Tell me about the mindset. What is about your mindset? Tell me about this, your mindset, because this is very important for us. Your mindset is hardcore, very important. You tell me about this.
I think at the end of the day, I'm a hard worker. I'm a hard worker, but I'm only a hard worker because I love my work. Because I love what I'm doing. If I wouldn't love what I'm doing, then I wouldn't be working so hard. Now, but there's more things to it, right? There's more things to it. Like, for instance, I think I explained that, like in another conversation that we had, I explained that before, where, I'm looking at dance and I'm looking at my life and everything in life. We need to, or if we look at everything as a relationship of what we have, right? Then first of all, we are a lot more careful and we are a lot more mindful about things. So now, put it like this. If you find the woman of your life and you're falling in love with that woman, you want to spend as much time with that woman as you can, right? It's just normal. And so what happened to me with dancing, when I found dance was the right thing for me, I found the love of my life, right? But it's not a person, it's something that I do. So now I developed this relationship with this dance and it grows in you. The more you know about the dance, the more it grows, the more you fall in love, and it's getting deeper and deeper. So now, and then you find out, how can I sustain, how can I keep this relationship as good and as pure as possible? It means you can't lie, otherwise you lie to yourself, right?
Yes.
So you learn that if you lie to yourself, you mess up everything, right?
Yeah.
So, and you have to stay healthy. It's the same thing. If you found the woman of your life and now you get married and all of a sudden, like you only eat burgers and pizza and you drink like all the soft drinks in the world, and all of a sudden you get fat and you stink and you're not as healthy as before. Listen, you will lose your woman. You will lose your woman if you're not taking care of your woman, if you're not staying on track, and if you don't focus on what she likes and you become one in that relationship, then you will lose that woman. And it's the same thing with dance. So you need to dedicate some time to everything that surrounds that creates that universe, that multiverse, basically, in order to sustain. And this is like where the focus is coming from. So yes, I'm sure I am focused very much, but another thing that is very important, and this is what most people forget, I think that boredom is very important. Boredom is super important. There were like years in my life, I mentioned it before, where I was taking trains with Swift Rock and a lot of times also by myself, where I was on the train for like 6 to 8 hours. I had nothing to read. I had nothing to do. I was only looking outside the window and I was thinking in the air about my life and what I was going to do. So now I never called it boredom, but I think we should call it boredom today, because the trouble is that today most people, as soon as they only have a minute where they have to wait for something, they get their cell phones out and they type a message or they look on Instagram and they see what's up. Leave your phone in your pocket, get yourself your half hour a day or something like that. Just sit down and think about your life and what you want to do in life. So just so that you really understand what your life is about, what you need, what is artificial, which direction can you take, what are the things that you really like, what are the things that you don't like, and so on and on. Are you sleeping enough? Are you drinking enough water? How do you get this purity that you need to sustain for as long as you can with what you love, what you really love in your life, and so on and on. So this is the point that I'm trying to make. Is usually it's what we do with our time. And the more I'm thinking about what I need to do with my time, I need to get like within myself and I need to understand, what do I want? I am the center of this universe.
Yeah.
Right? I am the center of this universe.
Yes.
And what I want to do counts the most. As long as I don't hurt nobody else, as long as I don't hurt nobody else, as long as that's fine, it should be cool. So I'm living my life, and at the same time, I'm trying to give people the tools. I try to leave an impact in people so that they can also have more fun in life, that they have a good life, that they get happy, and that we're not surrounded so much with grumpy people anymore. Because also that, if you think about it, there's going to be feedback to that. There will be feedback to that. Every time when you do something good, man, it's going to come back 100 times stronger. And most of the times at moments when you don't even expect it.
Yeah! Ei, galera, ele me explica em português. Bom, vocês estão vendo aí, o Lucas está traduzindo. O que ele falou aqui matou a nossa conversação. Stormy, I speak a little bit. Speak Portuguese too, sometimes.
Mais ou menos, sim.
Mais ou menos.
Mas não fui no Brasil a última vez foi no Brasil com você no Curitiba.
6 meses.
E foi, sim, mais.
July.
Mas sim, mas 9
meses.
9 meses. Oh, wow.
Mas seu português é bom, você entende bastante.
Obrigado.
Everybody's surprised now. Everybody's surprised now. Oh my God. Galera, o Storm fala português.
Eu sonho que dia nós vamos falar
português.
Nós vamos fazer interview em português. Tudo
next
bom?
Next time I will talking about just Portuguese.
Yes.
Yes, Stormy, we have 5 minutes now. Very important you tell about your new project, competition and internet, very important. This point, everybody see that. Let's go.
What are you talking about?
We're talking about your event, the internet event.
Oh, it wasn't my event. That wasn't my event. That was Break Free.
Yeah, sorry.
That was Solidarity. That was Break Free. They're from Seattle, from Houston, Texas. Sorry.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
I meant Houston, Texas. No, but I have a new project. Actually, I'm filming every day here right now. I'm using my time here in the living room, with this surrounding. I'm filming every day. I want to give more tutorials out to the world. I want to film more of the stuff that I've done and of my knowledge. And I want to share that a lot more, just because I realized that I get more and more into theory and less into the into physical art of dancing, just because I'm getting older. I'm getting older. I don't want to get hurt. So it's getting less and, you know, I'm taking less and less risk. I'm not doing flares anymore. I'm not doing halos anymore. You know, every now and then I'm still doing a head spin. But, you know, there's so many moves that I don't want to do anymore. I'm sure I could still do them, right? The technique is still there, but I don't want to do them because the risk of getting hurt is quite high. And knowing that, I want to document everything that I know how to do and prepare that in a matter of each one teach one to the world, so that people have something to grasp on. At the same time, when I'm giving these courses, I want to drop a lot of knowledge and give people more background knowledge, not just the historical knowledge, but also, you know, a lot of things that people don't say. A lot of people, you know, like a lot more about the cultural heritages and the cultural values of the style and why people are moving the way they move, right? Like, for instance, when you look at locking, people need to realize that there was a moment in time in Los Angeles when people started to dance the way they dance for a particular reason. The time frames, it really plays a leading role. So when people are just learning the moves, they only learn how to mimic the dance. Yep. But if they don't have the cultural heritage, if they don't inherit, let me put it like that, if they don't inherit what made them move like that, it will always just be an enactment. You know, like it's basically like you're quoting somebody who said something nice, right? So now you bring forward a quote, but it's never really based on your own words. So now, in order to create your own words, to create your own vocabulary, you really need to know what the style is about. And it's the same thing about any style in the world, right? There are people, I mean, we could compare it to samba as well. You know, you have people that could just, you know, they pick up the moves and they can dance samba. But they can only dance samba as long as they see other people dance samba. When these people are gone, right? When these people are gone because they have the cultural heritage, then that's the only reference they have, right? And if they never talked about it, and if they never really seen how it was supposed to be done, then there is a problem. So we need to spread a lot more of the knowledge. Like, for instance, the music is a major factor. All these dances, they've grown within the music that was hip at that particular time. Then also the political circumstances at that time, right? Like you're looking at the Bronx and how the Bronx was looking when hip hop came about. All this we need to take into consideration, why b-boys dance the way they dance. Why they are so agonistic, why they are so combative, right? Why they want to, you know, like, why do they want to compete? Why did they even come up with the term that they call battle? They could have just said like, oh, it's a challenge, but a challenge sounds weak. No, they had to call it a battle because they wanted to sound hardcore, you know?
Yep.
All this matters so much within these dances to understand the cultural value and to understand, you know, like the whole contextualization of why people are dancing a certain way.
All right. Yes, incredible. We have now 1 minute. All right. Now, very important talking about a little bit something. Shout out from Brazilian people around the world. You have a 40-second tell in Portuguese now. That's working now because
okay.
we're on another level.
So minute. Look, one thing I want to say, I saw that a lot of comments were about judging. I made 8 videos. There's 8 videos online. Go on my channel.
Yes.
Storm
Go,
Dance.
people, go.
You know, easy. You could find all the infos there. I don't want to get into detail of the judging thing right now because it's really annoying after a while and it's wrecking my brain too. Hey, people in Brazil, I hope I'm going to see you soon. Tenho muitas saudades. Yeah. And listen, you know, the people that I miss the most, of course, are Discípulos do Ritmo. This is like my crew. This is my family.